sufficiently soft. This is the Softbrains.
And today we are feeling sufficiently soft.
Very soft. Alright, my name is Justin.
My name is Clarke.
And welcome to the Softbrains. This is a, weekly, semi-weekly, some more than a week
A podcast kind of thing. We're still figuring it out.
Yeah, the quality's not so great, but we're gonna.
But we got a sock on the microphone.
We do have a sock.
So
it is
step up, people.
Dampening the background sound. It's very professional.
We are professionals
and soft-brained. All right. Well.
So, in case you're new here, in which you probably are, because everybody is new, this premise is that Justin brings an interesting story, or a story that's interesting to him, and I bring an interesting story, or a story that is interesting to me, and we...
Or factoid, or thing, or a collection of facts.
Or whatever, things that we find interesting. And then we share them with each other.
So, you started last time we did this, was just a few days ago.
It was a week ago, but yes.
That was a week ago already?
Well, it only got uploaded like a couple days ago, but we recorded it like last...
That's true.
Sunday or something. Saturday.
All right, well, last time I talked about the Death Valley Germans, and I kind of felt like keeping it...
Oh, so you're starting this time. Okay, he's taking the reins.
Yeah, you started last time, I'll start this time.
Good, go ahead.
Give the people something fresh.
Mixing it up. Gotta have variety.
So last time, it was the Death Valley Germans. That was kind of morbid and death-filled, so I thought I'd do the same thing this week. All right, so the Aztec Tower of Skulls.
What do you mean the same thing? You're going to talk about another missing family?
No, not a missing family. Well, I guess in this case, it's tons of missing families.
Oh.
But I just mean...
Intriguing.
I just mean something that is kind of in that same vein of weirdness.
It's mystery?
Yeah,
like
sure.
Like an unsolved mystery type of thing?
Sure, let's find out.
Yeah,
so,
why don't you just tell me and then we'll decide.
I'm titling mine the Aztec Tower of Skulls. Or Tower O Skulls if you want to be fancy.
Tower O Skulls.
Yeah.
This is the Aztec Tower O Skulls.
Alright, so have you ever heard of Sampanchi? It is like a Mexican, Spanish word. Somebody is at the door. We will be right back. Okay. Alright, so we are back. Don't know who that was. Didn't get it. But, oh well. So
we're just discussing whether it's a social obligation to open the door for
what if you're... Okay, so we have two cars in the driveway right now. So clearly somebody must be home. But what's the obligation of answering the door if you're busy?
Yeah, do you have a social obligation to do it? Or can you just be like, no, I don't want to? Because, if you're screening someone's phone calls, if you want to avoid someone, why don't you just not answer the door?
True. Truer words have never been spoken.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so what I was saying before is, have you ever heard of Sampanchi is the word?
No, I have never heard of Sampanchi.
I didn't think you did. That was just me setting it up. So it's a type of wooden rack found in Mesoamerican civilizations.
Wooden rack?
Yeah, wooden rack. Okay. It was used for the public display of skulls. So typically, from war captives or sacrificial victims, they would put these skulls on this rack, and they would kind of skewer them. It kind of looks like an abacus, or those things that you would play with at the dentist or the doctor, where you would slide the rings back and forth. Yeah. So one of those. That's kind of
look like little UFOs.
Yeah, so
little wooden UFOs.
Right, so it's not a wooden UFO. It's instead a skull, a human skull.
It's a wooden UFO. It's a human skull. Right. Quote unquote. No context.
This isn't something that they kept in their thousands of years ago, and they kept in their living room or their version of the dentist office. It was a huge thing. It was a bunch of scaffolding with skulls being skewered like kebabs, and they were on horizontal pipes.
Okay.
I'm describing it with my hands right now, so...
But that's a good description.
Picture it in your mind's eye.
I can picture it in my soft brain.
Yeah. So, back in 2017, archaeologists found the Huey Sampanchi...
What?
archaeologists, I believe that word was.
Archaeologist.
I learned it just now. So they found this, I think the first word is, it's spelled Huey, like Huey, but I'm pretty sure that's not how you would pronounce it.
Like Huey, Dewey, and Louie, like Donald Duck's nephews, right?
Huey, Sampanchi, and the News. So the Huey Sampanchi, it's in the Templo Mayor area of Mexico City. That's the main temple that the Aztecs were using back in their capital city. It was called Tenochtitlan.
Okay.
I believe was the name. Just giving you the history
Spanish
background.
pronunciation is
on
point.
Thanks. So it was dedicated to two gods. It was their god of war, god of the sun and everything, and then the god of... It is a PlayStation game. And the god of rain and agriculture as well. It was the two gods. I don't know the names. I can't pronounce them. I had a very tough time saying those other ones, so I'm not going to say these ones.
But the gods.
Yeah, exactly. They're two gods. So it's actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That was back in like 1987. They made it a World Heritage Site. And last year, over 800,000 visitors came to this temple. So it's a busy spot.
I almost did an UNESCO World Heritage Site for mine.
Ernesto?
UNESCO.
Yes.
Ernesto's
Heritage.
He's just some guy named Ernesto, and he says, "Yes, I think these ones are World Heritage Site, and these one."
What's this one, Ernesto? This one is my grandmother's house.
This one, number 5, is my favorite because it's my grandmother's house.
So back to the Huey Sampanchi. I think that's the word for it. So
Huey Sampanchi.
Yeah, it's known as the Great Skull Rack. Like it's the Great War, but the Great Skull Rack.
Cool.
Early Spanish conquistadors would tell tales and describe the horrors of this rack. Like it spread through word of mouth and like wildfire. So right now, I guess 2017 last year, over 650 skulls were found at that site, and they're finding
650.
Yes, it gets better. That's what they have found. There's also thousands of pieces of skull fragments, and they're still unearthing this thing.
Like it's in the temple?
It's in Mexico City.
Like inside the temple?
Below. It's like
underneath
below ground. Okay. And it's like covered in dirt. They're excavating it like dinosaur bones, but they're human bones. And they're from like, I don't know, 1,000 years ago or something like that. And then 600 years ago, 500 years ago.
Yeah, I think we're talking...
Yeah, like Spanish conquistadors, that would be 1500s, I guess, right?
I don't know, guessing. Softbrain.
Yeah. So normally these skull racks, they'd be used to strike fear into enemy warriors. The conquistador tales, they were mentioning over tens of thousands of skulls were at this thing. So that 650 skulls that they've found is obviously nowhere near the final actual number of skulls that'll be there. It's going to be tons more. They're unearthing bit by bit.
They're still going through it.
Yeah, it's huge. An important part of Aztec warfare was that they would capture the enemy warriors and use them as sacrificial victims. This site differs because not only were those the skulls of men of like fighting age and stuff like warriors, but they also found the skulls of women and children. Most of the other Sampanchis that they found didn't have women and children. It was all warriors. So this one it seems like it's extreme.
What's a banshee?
Sampanchi. That's the name. Remember?
Some banshee.
No, it's not some banshee.
Ward.
No, yeah, a ward. Wow, do that once a day. Keeps the doctor away.
If you are a true fan, only you will get that reference.
Not only skulls of men, but both women and children as well. That's just your standard everyday human sacrifice to the various gods and deities in the Aztec culture. Probably this.
So we know for sure that it was a sacrifice to the gods, and it wasn't like a sacrifice or something else.
These are very intricately laid out. It's not a pile of skulls. Don't forget, they're on like a rod being displayed.
Right. They're on the whole big rack thing.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
It's a big rack.
Yeah, they're not just piled into a mound of skull.
Okay.
So many scholars they're thinking just in the same note of these sacrifices and stuff. They've determined that the limbs of Aztec victims would be consumed after the sacrifice. I didn't look too much into it because it was kind of weird and weirded me out. So
Okay.
I'm not going to go into the whole arm eating business.
Ooh.
But yeah, so a conquistador by the name of Andres de Tapia.
Conquistador?
Yeah, he was a conquistador, a
What
Spanish
is a
conquistador.
conquistador? What
Like
is
when
that?
they explore. Pretty sure conquistador is probably to conquer something, so I'm guessing he's a warrior.
Ah, conquistador. Makes sense.
Yeah. Go on.
Yes.
So he was tasked with counting the skulls at this site back when they originally came across it. So he estimated that there was 136,000 skulls
What?
on this thing. So it's a lot of people.
Conquistador is crazy.
Not necessarily. It does
Is it
seem a
true?
bit high, but the more conservative estimations that scholars have put together through like his numbering and some other people who have mentioned on the size and mentioned the
That's
numbering,
Crazy.
they think it's around 60,000 or so. Even that is a lot.
That is a
So
lot.
they found 650 skulls. They've got a long way to go. There's a lot of people
Yeah,
that were sacrificed.
There's a lot of skulls in there.
So the sheer size of the site itself is kind of hard to comprehend too. Back when the Great Skull Rack was actually up and operational and you could buy tickets and see it and have your bag of popcorn way back in the day.
What?
I'm
how
guessing
back
that's
in
what
the
they...
day was that?
Yeah, like we're
Wait, so
talking
you
600.
can't go see it anymore?
No, this is underneath. This is like an archaeological dig.
Oh, so you can't go see any of this?
No,
if you
no, this is
visited there as
completely
a
off.
tourist,
No,
you can. Okay.
not at all. That was a complete joke.
Well, I thought you were saying that the temple was like a tourist spot.
It
said
is, but not
8,000
inside this temple in its basement and its
Oh,
dirty
okay.
crawl spaces where they're digging stuff, digging up skulls.
I want to visit a dirty crawl space.
Yeah. There's, so they found 650-ish already as of last year, so there's obviously, this area is huge, right? What they can tell is the Great Skull Rack's main platform measured an area of about 60 meters, so it's about 196 feet. It was about 60 meters.
196 feet?
Yeah, and that's the length, and it was by about 30 meters or 98 feet wide.
What?
At the summit. So it could be even larger at its base. They haven't found the base yet. They don't know how big the base is. So on top of this platform was between 60 and 70 different uprights of timber. So they go up like trees, and then these skull kebabs go in and go through these support beams kind of thing. So there was about 60 or 70 uprights. And then in between each of those uprights was rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of skulls.
That's a lot of
There's a lot of skulls. Just trying to put in, thinking of that many people,
No,
that's unbelievable.
That's fucking crazy.
So what they've found isn't the actual Great Skull Rack itself.
What do you
Either.
mean it's not the Great Skull Rack? There's a bigger, greater skull rack?
This is just where the skulls were set after they stood on public display at the Sampanchi. So I guess it's what they would do is out in the temple courtyards, they would have this huge Sampanchi thing out where they were displaying off their skulls. And then after, on Sunday, when everything was closing at 5 o'clock, they then wheeled it in, I guess, to the inside. And when they were done being displayed in public, they were stored in this temple.
Okay.
So who knows actually like when they were stored there, if it was like a daily thing that they took them in after the conquistadors were gone. Who knows?
How did they skewer them?
So they would actually put holes in the skulls. So I don't know. It's hard to say if there was meat or anything on these, I guess, right? Maybe at the time, yeah, I don't think they like boiled this skull to get down to just the bone. And then put it through the sticks. I think it was just over time it just degraded because it was on display.
So
in
did
the
they
heat
put
of Mexico.
heads on display and then the heads became skulls?
That's a good question. That's something that it's kind of hard to tell, right?
Yeah.
I'm imagining that would take a long.
Gruesome,
yeah,
dude.
that would take a long
This is
time.
like Apocalypto. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
It's a good movie.
Mel
You
Gibson's
should watch
a bit
Apocalypto.
crazy,
Mel Gibson directed it. He's not in it.
No,
But it's a good
wouldn't
movie.
that be weird? Just Mel Gibson running around.
Running around in the Mayan
South
jungle.
American bush.
That'd be a sight.
Yeah, so the scary thought is like this whole thing it hasn't even been remotely close to completely unearthed, right?
That is scary.
So who knows really how big this thing was, and
You should have called this Skulls Unearthed.
maybe something punnier would have been better. Make no bone about it. But yeah, so that's mine. I had another one prepared, but those notes got forgotten, so.
It's okay.
This one I thought was really interesting.
That is really interesting.
I've got a lot prepared, and this was about a year ago, so who knows how many they've unearthed now.
I really enjoyed that.
But yeah, I thought it was kind of neat, and there's tons of pictures available too that I should kind of go through with you. I did have them available here. I can just kind of get you. So they're just unearthing part of it here.
Oh, that's not how I imagine it. I recommend that you look this up because that was not how I was seeing it in my head.
No, like I said, it's not an actual wooden abacus with heads on it, but that's kind of how they described it. It's a ton and ton and ton of skulls.
That is
so they cleaned them all
up. So there's
up.
A huge hole in the skull.
Yeah, they didn't like use diamond encrusted blades and dig like a perfect hole in the side of their head. They just smashed that fucker in.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Justin.
So you can see, like, look at half this dude's skull is gone.
Yeah,
this guy's got no jaw.
That's a lot of skulls. So we're thinking about creating a blog where we could put these types of images in case anybody wanted to see that. So I don't know.
We'll see. We don't know if it's going to be worth the work yet either. Maybe nobody will hear it. So you never know. Maybe for nothing.
C'est quoi possible?
But that's mine. That's the Aztec Tower of Skulls. What did you bring this week today?
Oh, you're ready to... Is that your wrap-up?
That's my wrap-up,
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is really interesting. I think that guy has pretty white teeth.
For being, 500 to 600 years old, this dude we're looking at, this skull, he's got nice chompers on him.
Yeah. I wonder when toothbrushes were invented. Don't Google it. I'm just curious.
It's taking everything within my power.
Don't. It's annoying when you click in and type in. When you click in and you type in all day long.
All right.
Nobody likes that.
I'm going to find out on my phone if you don't mind.
Justin and I got pop sockets this week, so now we're very trendy, hip millennials.
We're hip millennials now. I feel like I'm getting younger while I'm getting older. My hearing is going. My hair is falling out. But I'm with it. I'm hip. I'm with it with the kids.
I'm hip and with it. Justin didn't know what the phrase "spill the tea" meant, so I had to teach him.
Who's drinking tea and spilling tea?
If anybody's listening to this that's under the age of 30, you all know what that means. But Justin did not know.
So early forms of the toothbrush were in existence from about 3000 BC. That's like a chew stick or a twig with a frayed end.
That's a toothpick.
Modern day toothbrushes, like your standard Oral-B Colgate toothbrush, wasn't invented until 1938.
Wow.
So what did like our great grandparents used to brush their teeth? Did they? Is that just why everybody had gross ass teeth?
They didn't have to brush their teeth because they walked 10 miles to get to school.
Their teeth
fell 3 feet of it snow. Yeah. Uphill the whole time. Okay, Papa. Your life was harder than mine. I get it.
Yeah, we understand.
But at least we had toothbrushes, Grandpa.
Yeah, our teeth are clean. I love the feeling of a good, clean tooth.
Ooh.
After you've eaten a piece of cheese,
and then
you get a nice toothbrush in there, especially with like an electric toothbrush.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
And none of that really bad, super white toothpaste. You want the blue toothpaste that's super frothy. Those ones get you real clean. None of this adult toothpaste.
I don't think the more frothy it is doesn't mean
I love the frothy ones. The white ones are clearly the superior quality. But yeah, those gross blue gel toothbrush.
Yeah, you really don't like those ones. I don't have a toothpaste preference. I really don't care.
I don't care for brushing my teeth, but...
Okay, so... I'm waiting for my images to load.
You've got images as well?
Yeah, they're not... Oh, show pictures. Always show pictures from the sender. Well, yeah, it's myself.
Show pictures from the center.
It's me, so don't make fun of me. I'm trying my best.
Man, that's a lot of skulls.
Can you close that? I don't want to look at that.
Sorry.
Okay.
We're closed.
Go listening?
Ahead. Yep.
Okay, so my story is not about skulls. But actually, there is something related to skulls in here.
Oh, interesting.
Interestingly enough. So this is actually, I just came across an interesting person today. I mean, a person that you probably know of. And
somebody like you met them on your way home from work?
No.
Kind of type?
No, a famous person. So you probably know of this person, and like many people around the world know who this person is.
Guy.
But a lot of people don't know a lot about him and the things that he's done.
Is it Tommy Wiseau?
No. And he was a little like weird. And I thought he was just interesting. All the stuff that he's done, his life was very interesting. But it's a category of topic that you probably don't know that much about, and there's probably a big percentage of people that don't know a lot about this specific person. And
I like that. Like what I've chosen so far is just stuff that I've seen in the news.
Yeah.
Like it's news articles and not stuff.
News articles are good though. That means
I like that. We're current. We're from 2017 and 2018, but at least that's current. That's almost current affairs.
Okay. So I want to talk to you about Alexander McQueen.
Alexander McQueen.
Okay, so do you know anything about Alexander McQueen?
I know zilch. Nothing.
Excellent. That was my plan. I was like, I'm going to pick something that Justin knows nothing about.
One of those things where I've heard the name. I have no idea.
Do you know what he did?
I know nothing. Zero things.
Do you know what he's famous for?
Nope.
Okay.
Don't know the guy.
Okay.
Couldn't tell him from a bum in the street.
Alexander McQueen is a famous fashion designer. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And I've had this stuck in my head all day, is that verse from Nicki Minaj's Anaconda. She's like, Alexander McQueen, and they're keeping me stylish.
Yeah.
They got it. Had that stuck in my head all day because I've been looking up stuff about Alexander McQueen. Okay, so Alexander McQueen did some interesting stuff in his day, okay? He basically was like a sewing genius. And styling genius. So he was born in March 17th of 1969 in Lewisham, London, to a Scottish taxi driver dad and his mum, who was a social science teacher. So
where was she from?
I don't know, England.
Okay.
So they moved to Stratford when McQueen was only 1. So he is very connected to his Scottish heritage. And this comes into play a little bit later. So that just mentioned that now he's Scottish, and it plays a little bit later. So he went to a high school, and he left at age 16, where he got his diploma early in art. And then he went on to take tailoring courses, and he worked on Savile Row, which, do you know what Savile Row is? Yeah, suits. Yes. So Savile Row is a very famous street in London that's known for
it's like bespoke
tailoring.
Custom suits.
Yes.
Lots of
So when you think of Kingsman Secret Service, that is this. That's Savile Row, basically.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of my blazers is a Savile Row blazer.
Really?
Yeah, the blue blazer with the gold buttons.
Fancy man in the house with
That's
the
right.
Savile Row
it was
blazer.
1999 probably from the thrift store.
Yeah, you better respect.
Not too bad.
Yeah. So he worked for some famous people like Gibbs and Hawkes, I don't know, who are very famous retailer, and
Haven't heard of them either.
They were founded in London in 1771, and they're still open. That's an old fucking company. That's older than Canada.
Everything is older than Canada in Europe.
True. And they also did work for the royal family.
Of course.
They were they hold a number of royal warrants, is what it's called. I had to look that up today. It means that they have provided stuff to the royal family. And they also provided military tailoring.
Interesting.
So he worked for them.
Busy guys.
Yes. So he worked for them, and then he later joined Angel's Costumes, which is supplies or costumes throughout London, England. And they have supplied costumes for 37 films, and they received the Academy Award for Best Costume Design more than once. So he worked for that company as well. So basically, he's freaking genius.
He's got a good pedigree.
Yeah. He received his master's degree in fashion design, and he released a graduation collection in 1992. And he was good friends with this girl during that time, Isabella Blow, who convinced him to become known as Alexander. His name is actually Lee, but she convinced him to go by
fancy enough.
Alexander McQueen and not Lee McQueen. Lee McQueen's pretty good.
Lee McQueen does sound good. Alexander McQueen, that's a little bit snooty, pretentious.
Alexander McQueen.
Yeah. It was made to be in a Nicki Minaj song.
So one of the first things, I don't know, like when he was known for his mid-90s, he designed the wardrobe for David Bowie, his tour in 1996 and 97, as well as the famous Union Jack coat worn by Bowie on the cover of his 1997 album, Earthling. Looks like that.
Yes.
It's a sparkly Union Jack.
Interesting.
Popcorn pants.
Not something I would wear.
No, you don't think
I don't think I could pull that off, no.
Streetwear. He also did a lot of work for Bjork. And he had a really famous dress in one of her music videos to her song Pagan Poetry, where she wore this iconic topless dress.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a topless dress.
Yeah,
with chains.
It's basically like a dress made out of chains, and at the bottom there's tulle, and it's like they ain't nothing there.
There's no top. There's no top.
It's only chains.
Yeah.
When I say chains, I mean only chains. So early on in his career, he had runway collections that caused a lot of controversy, and he used a lot of
He's the fashion bad boy.
Exactly. He earned the title L'Enfant Terrible.
The terrible kid?
The terrible kid, yes. L'Enfant Terrible. And they also called him the hooligan of English fashion.
You like your hooligans, eh? You got it in for hooligans.
No, he's not like a prankster. He's like like an artist.
You're bad boys.
And like a whatever. So he one of his more controversial things were called the bumsters, which ended up to accordingly being like the influence for low-rise jeans becoming popular later on. Oh. So these are the bumsters.
When you said the bumsters, I was picturing the monsters of butts. Everybody was just a butt in a different like Halloween costume.
What?
Oh, these are their butts are out. So he likes to show a little bit of skin.
It's like half a butt. Don't scroll forward.
Okay.
It's like half a butt. So there's like pants that go up halfway up your butt. That's exactly what it is.
Not the middle, halfway up the height of the butt.
Yeah, halfway.
Not like halfway up your butt.
Yeah, those are they're like chaps, but not really chaps.
Not quite assless chaps.
Yes.
Trademark. Can't believe it's not butter.
Or bumsters. And he also had another collection titled Highland Rape.
Oh,
so again, tying into his Scottish heritage.
Yeah.
He often referred to the dark and tortured renderings of Scottish history.
Yeah, Scotland and Ireland and England weren't really friends for a good part of their history.
Yeah, I have some more information about it in here somewhere. He scattered his ashes. He's dead. At the Isle of Skye.
Whose ashes?
Alexander McQueen. The guy we've been talking about this whole time.
Who scattered his ashes?
His ashes were scattered.
Oh.
Somebody scattered his ashes. I think it was his dad. I don't know.
We jumped forward. First of all,
No. I'm just giving you background on why it's called the Highland Rape.
I was so confused.
Listen.
He was just doing one thing and then he's dead.
No. Okay.
Poor guy.
He's been dead this whole time.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not like he suddenly
a
died.
ghost. I get it.
Okay, so I'm just explaining why he does these Scottish collections. These
I gotcha.
So, and because he specifically focused on the 18th century suppression of Scotland's Highland clan system following the final defeat of the Jacobite rebellions. I don't know. If you're Scottish, you probably know what that means, but I don't know what that means.
Isn't that
I don't know a lot about Scottish history.
Isn't a Jacobite, isn't that something biblical? I mean, we're not the most biblical of people, but what is a Jacobite?
I don't know.
Oh, it's the Jacobite risings, or the rebellions of the War of the British Succession, were a series of uprising rebellions and wars in Great Britain and Ireland between 1688 and 1746. Okay.
So he did a lot of stuff around that. I don't know. He was very connected with his heritage, I guess.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
Yes. Some people said that some of his runways were like cruel to the models. He was known for just having really unconventional like releases for things.
Releases?
Like releases of his collections, like his premiere of the whatever.
You need to speak up.
I need to speak up. Yeah, so sorry, I just kind of had to go back here. So he made the Bumpsters.
Yes, Bumpsters.
He also became one of the first designers to use Indian models in London.
Indian from India?
Indian from India.
Okay.
Yes. He worked for Givenchy. You know Givenchy?
Yes.
Okay, so...
That Givenchy dress. Beyonce told me.
Yes.
I'm hippin' with it, and that's the tea.
Okay.
I know that's not the proper use, but deal.
He gets so scared about not using it properly.
Don't worry about it. I got it. I understand.
So he worked for Givenchy, and McQueen said to the founder that he was irrelevant, which is like he's just sassy queen.
Yeah, he thinks he's all that. He's got an ego.
I mean,
he's a bit pretentious.
He is, but he's an artiste.
Yeah.
So then he had released a collection with Givenchy, and it was very unsuccessful. And then he released another line with them, and he really caused controversy in his runway show that same year with that Givenchy line when he used double amputee model Amy Mullins, who walked down the catwalk with intricately carved wooden legs.
Oh, that took so many twists. I was like, I was going to make a joke. So she was a double amputee, so she obviously wasn't walking down the runway. Then you hit me with the wooden legs. It was not expected.
He's really fucking weird. He really, goes for it. It gets weirder. Okay.
Oh, he's a weird-looking dude,
This is the legs.
Interesting. So, those are nice.
They're actually
like
really beautiful.
A banister, yeah.
Yeah, they're like these, yeah. They're really nice. And then he also had another famous runway show, the next year, where one of the models, Shalom Harlow, was on the runway and being rotated slowly in a strapless white dress while being sprayed with paint by two robotic guns. So this is like a year later after the wooden leg thing.
He likes going big or going home, I guess.
That's correct. Okay, and then... So one of his most celebrated and most dramatic and most controversial collection runway show that he did was a show called Voss. In where there was this centerpiece that was a really big glass box, and outside that box there was another box. So Wikipedia didn't say this, but when I watched the video, it's like a box within a box. So you're
a box in a box.
Yeah,
huh?
But the box in the inside looks like it's just glass. Almost looks like copper when you look at it. It's like a reflection.
Oh, it's a reflective glass.
Yeah, but
shiny
it's not
glass.
really shiny. Because it's actually...
That's called a mirror, isn't it?
No, because it's actually just glass, not a mirror. But because it's not lit inside the box lit outside the box, people only see it as a mirror.
Right.
Okay?
Yes, I know what you're saying, yeah.
So there's that in the middle, and then on the outside there's see-through glass where the models are walking around this other square.
Still inside a box?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a box you can't see through, models...
And then a
bigger box on the
right.
outside. So it's like a nesting doll.
That's what it looked like to me from what I could see from the video. But
okay.
So then the models are walking around like this. This glass box is in the middle. This mirrored glass box.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
Well, exactly. So after the audience is watching the show and they're looking at the reflections, and it's kind of weird, and all the models are walking around. So finally, after an hour, and the show has started and things like that, the lights came on inside the glass case, and all of the walls came down, and the glass smashed against the ground, and in the box it was filled with moths, and at the center was a naked model on a chaise lounge with her face obscured by a gas mask.
What? What? Let me take a look at this.
It's really fucking weird.
Are those real moths?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the video, they're like all flying away and the glass like smashes against the ground. Yeah.
It shatters? Okay. What a weirdo.
Yeah.
That's like, that's weird, man.
I know.
This guy needs to get outside.
He's fucking very creative.
Is that what that is? Is that what kids call creativity now?
Yeah. So he, the girl in the box was Michelle Olay. And this is a quote from British fashion photographer Nick Knight, who said, I was sat on the front row in between Alexandra Schulman and Gwyneth Paltrow. It was probably one of the best pieces of fashion theater I've ever witnessed. I didn't know fashion theater was a thing.
That doesn't sound like a real thing. It sounds like you're making it up. Sounds like something he would make up.
Well, Nick Knight said it, so it must be true.
Who's Nick Knight?
He's a British fashion photographer. I said that already.
Gotcha. There's lots of names of people that I do not know.
So anyway, that was like the biggest thing that Alexander McQueen did. He got British Designer of the Year. He was the youngest person ever to do it. He won it 4 times. International Designer of the Year. So
he's controversial, but people like him. He does good stuff.
Yeah, and something else that's interesting about him, in December 2000, he made a partnership with Gucci, and he acquired 51% of the company.
Ooh, so this boy had money.
Oh, yes. So then he expanded Gucci, right? So after he died...
he died?
So he committed suicide. And he is... hung himself in London, and he left a note saying, "Look after my dogs. Sorry, I love you, Lee." So he was really attached to his dogs. He left his dogs a bunch of money. He left his dogs like $50,000.
That's weird. What would a dog do with 50G? Hit us up on our email if you're a dog and tell us what you would do with 50 grand.
The BBC reported that McQueen had reserved $50,000 of his wealth for his pet dogs so they could live in the lap of luxury for the rest of their lives.
Wow.
Lap of luxury.
The lab.
In the lap.
It would be even funnier if it was in the lab of luxury, but...
The golden lab.
Yeah.
So he struggled a lot with like anxiety and depression, and he had...
Yeah, he was a tortured soul, for sure.
Yeah, allegedly he had like issues with cocaine and pills, and...
Allegedly.
He like overdosed before he hung himself, and it was like not good.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and pretty tragic death. I wasn't talking. I can't talk louder if I'm not talking. He keeps gesturing to me to talk louder.
How do you pronounce the word gesture?
I don't want to talk about this. So one other thing that happened as like basically so he died in 2010 as like what's the word? Like...
What are you trying to say? Come on, boy! Did Timmy fall down the well?
Like an exhibition where they're
a funeral?
Honoring someone.
A funeral?
No, not a funeral. What's the word I'm looking for? An honor... No.
What do you mean? Like they're honoring this guy after he died?
Yes, there's a word for that.
Like a post-mortem...
Yeah, but there's a specific word for like honoring someone...
Who's dead?
Isn't there?
Awake?
No! Not picking up this. I bet you there's someone listening out there
this word!
who knows what what we're trying to say, but help me, please.
So it's a celebration for someone dead?
Like honoring someone who's dead. Memorial?
In memoriam?
Maybe.
That's like in memory of.
I don't know.
Okay.
This is
yeah, you've gotten way off topic here.
Soft
brains were soft. That's true.
Okay, so there was a show at the Met, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, after McQueen died, like a year after he died, called Savage Beauty. So in 2011, it included like some of Alexander McQueen's collection, like his ideas and a bunch of stuff inspired by him. Even though it was only open for 3 months, it was one of the most popular exhibitions in the museum's history. And the exhibition was so successful that Alexander McQueen fans and a bunch of people started petition to make it like a traveling exhibit so other people could see it.
Mm.
Like Alexander McQueen had a huge effect on a lot of people.
Interesting. I've heard the name. I honestly could not have told you if it was a politician, a scientist.
I know.
I have no idea who he was.
Yeah. And he's worked with like Lady Gaga and Kate Moss, Nicole Kidman, Penelope Cruz.
It's a busy guy.
Yeah. He's worked with a lot of like really famous people, and
it's a sad story. That's the downside, right? Like people that are very artistically talented, whether it is in art, in designing, in music, in comedy, everybody is
tortured souls,
tortured, right? Like especially the people that are extremely talented.
Yeah. Okay. So Gucci ended up going to his assistant, Sarah Burton. And she was named as the new creative director of Alexander McQueen as well. So, wow, okay. Sarah Burton's got to be loaded.
Yeah, good for her.
There's also, if you're interested in Alexander McQueen, there was a documentary that just came out about him like last month that apparently is really good.
What's
it's been McQueen. It's been described as the most accurate, sensitive, and moving.
The most accurate, sensitive, and moving what?
Documentary.
Okay.
Obviously.
I was waiting for it. You kept me on the edge of my seat.
It started a new sentence. I was a little confused.
Gotcha. That's too bad.
Yeah.
So that was 2010 that he died?
2010, yeah. In February.
Wow.
But, he's just one of those people that you've heard the name, and maybe you even know what he did, but you didn't know, like, that type of stuff. Unless you're interested in fashion, like, or unless you're in that industry, you probably wouldn't know.
If you're around
like, I didn't know about any of that, and I would say that I'm not really interested in fashion, but I know some stuff, but I didn't know anything about that kind of stuff at the runway shows.
Interesting.
Like, that whole thing with the moth and the glass box, that
what a
was
weirdo.
fucked up.
He's like Shia LaBeouf. They're performance actors, right?
Looking in the shadows.
That's really weird. I like that. That was a good one. Somebody that I would have never, like, it's a fashion
like you never would have known that.
I would have never known that in a million. I don't know who the guy was. So
I'm surprised that you didn't know he was a fashion designer. I thought you would have known that.
I'm pretty soft there. I don't understand a lot.
And he owned Gucky.
He owned Gucky, huh? Gucky shoes.
For a little while. Yeah.
All right, well, that was really fun. We did pretty well. It's a little bit shorter than it was last time. We're at about 42 minutes or so. But it was good content. Hot content.
Hot and fresh content.
Hot, fresh,
straight
and soft.
to your ears.
Straight to your ears. Well, thanks for doing this with me. I really enjoyed it. I think we should keep doing it.
Thanks for doing this with me. Just a reminder, we are using a dirty sock. If anyone wants to sponsor us, please hit that subscribe button.
More socks.
Smash that dislike button down below.
All right. Well, thank you very much for listening. I hope you had a good time, too. If there's anything you want to hear about, do let us know. I don't know how you can contact us, but I'm sure you could figure it out. You're pretty smart, and we are not. You might say that we have soft brains.
The brains are the softest.
The brains are the softest. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.